Summer is going fast, but Next Chapter Booksellers has everything you need to keep up with your summer reading. From the hottest new titles to timeless classics, Next Chapter Booksellers has something for any taste. Their friendly staff are great at making recommendations for the perfect summer read for you or your loved ones. Plus, Next Chapter Booksellers has a wide variety of puzzles and games for those rainy days. So keep up with your summer reading at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 90. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 76. And Wednesday, another chance for thunderstorms with a high near 91. If you're craving delicious Chinese food, head to the Great Wall Restaurant for handmade dumplings, sesame chicken, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Located at 4515 France Avenue South. Learn more at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to The Gailey Show. The Gailey Show is the only daily LGBTQ progressive radio show in the United States. My name's Philip Anthony, and I will be subbing for John Parker today and Wednesday of next week. I'd like to welcome WCPT 820, Chicago Heartland Signal, and AM 950 KTNF, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and thank those audiences for their support of The Gailey Show. I'd like to thank my friend John Parker for entrusting me to preside over this incredible show today. And it's an LGBT-focused show, as you all know, and that's what we're going to be doing all day today. I'd also like to say hello to my producer today. It's Patrick Lilia. Hi, Patrick.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes, and Patrick is also a producer on my show, and we'll talk about that later, Patrick. All right, so before we start today's show, we're happy to share about Queer Gaze, who has partnered with Imagine Willow Creek Theater to present a new queer film on the last Sunday of each month. Get ready to laugh, cheer, and shed a joyful tear as Queer Gaze celebrates queer films new and old. Tickets are on sale at www.imagine-entertainment.com/queer-gaze, G-A-Z-E. On July 27th at 2 p.m. Will be Queens of Drama, an outrageous lesbian pop musical satire inspired by the pop frenzy of the early 2000s. Queens of Drama charts the rise and fall of new star Mimi Matador, and her passionate, rage-fueled love affair with punk icon Billy Kohler. Over the course of half a century, we followed these drama queens as they top the charts and set sail on the course of mad queer love. Again, the tickets are on sale. Imagine-entertainment.com/queer-gaze. Okay. Now, some of you in Chicago, WCPT 820, are wondering who I am. So before I introduce my first guest, I want to introduce me, right? I mean, you want to know who I am. So my name is Philip Anthony. I'm the host of the Downright Upright Show, which is an LGBTQ and progressive-focused show, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. Central on AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And on the first Saturday of every month, I have what I call a co-host show with my co-hosts, Austin and Matt, and we discuss LGBT issues, current events, and even entertainment. And for the rest of the month, I interview movers and shakers in the LGBT community, the political community, and entertainment. And my mission is to always uplift the progressive and LGBTQ community and its allies. The good news is that everyone, even those in Chicago, can also listen to the show and watch it on AM 950's Facebook page, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So now, with no further ado, I would like to introduce my very first guest, who I consider a wonderful friend, who's always been there for me from the beginning of my show. And people who are always uplifting the LGBTQ community. My first guest is Kat Rowan, the executive director of Outfront Minnesota. Welcome to The Gailey Show, Kat.
Good to be here and good to be with you again.
Yes, it's funny that I'm not saying my show, but welcome to the Gailey Show. So let's start talking for the people in Chicago who may not know. What is Outfront Minnesota, and what's the mission of Outfront Minnesota?
Yeah, for sure. Outfront Minnesota is Minnesota's largest LGBTQ advocacy organization. We have been around this state doing work in community to advocate for LGBTQ folks across the state of Minnesota since 1987. Folks in Chicago may be familiar with Equality Illinois, which is one of our state partners in that space. I was just at a conference with their interim executive director, who's also the executive director of Brave Space Alliance down in Chicago. So, we work with folks across the country, but our mission and focus is here in the state of Minnesota. So we work on building power, supporting communities, and helping to change narrative and culture around LGBTQ issues to move our state and hopefully the rest of the nation with it forward.
Mm-hmm. How did you get the gig? Like, how did this come about that you became the executive? It sounds so official, the executive director. It's great. I love that title. How did that gig come about? How did you did you apply and just got it, or how did you find out about it, and yada yada?
Yeah, so Outfront has had a couple of executive directors over our, almost 40 years in community. I consider myself to be very fortunate to be leading an organization with this legacy and level of impact on community. I actually stumbled into this job almost accidentally. I had been connected with Outfront as just a community member for many years, and had shown up at lobby days, had been on the email list, had done work here and there for different events and things that had come up. But it wasn't until 2022 when I had a great boss of mine just announce his departure for his dream job that I even considered a switch into this role. And I had not applied for a job in 6 years. I was like, you know what, let me see what's out there and available. I'm interested in taking a bigger role in leadership and interested in getting more engaged in community work. And this job happened to be closing that Friday. That was like a Tuesday. I was like, I'll pull together an application and put it in. If I'm the right fit, I'll step up in this moment. And so here now, clearly it was work, the right work for me in the right space, but glad to be in it. And I think it is to me, one of the pieces, people often ask, how do I get involved with advocacy work, whether it's professionally or personally? And the first thing that I would just encourage people to do is just raise your hand and show up. There's always something to do, always a way to get involved. Not always executive director of an organization, but I just happen to be the right person in the right moment at the right time to step into this, and glad to be doing it. I mean, it's complicated, difficult, layered work, but really proud of the way that I can help to be shaping the policy landscape in our communities here in Minnesota.
Yeah, you've been doing an amazing job, Kat. I have to say, I mean, everybody knows that in Minnesota. So how long have you been doing this position at Outfront?
Yeah, I've been in this role for 3 years. So I started in May of 2022, just at the tail end of that legislative session, and I've been running the organization since. So, it's been an interesting journey, both through real opportunities over the last 2 years in Minnesota, and then obviously all of the challenges here in 2025 as we deal with a shifting federal climate and a really complex state landscape as we respond to it.
Yeah, I've been asking a lot of people, a lot of guests, whether they're representatives, state senators, whatever, this question, because I'd like to keep Melissa Hortman's memory going. I mean, she did incredible work for the state of Minnesota. Do you have anything you want to say about Melissa Hortman? I'm sure you've met her many times, and something that I don't know that you've encountered with her. So could you share a story or two with the audience?
Yeah, for sure. The last time I was on the Gailey Show was actually shortly after her assassination. And, we talked a little bit about kind of her legacy and the impact with the LGBTQ community. And I'll share kind of two anecdotes with folks who maybe, are less familiar or didn't have, as direct of contact. I think one of the things of anybody who's been involved in Minnesota politics has had some degree of interaction with Melissa Hortman over the years, because she was such an instrumental figure in navigating politics in our state, no matter what your political leanings. She was somebody who really understood how to navigate the systems of power that we have and navigate and build coalitions around work that needs to be supportive. But on the LGBTQ front in particular, I think, two pieces really stand out to me. One is at the very tail end of 2024, when there was a lot of negotiation going around about, trying to get through a bonding bill, which is, funding capital projects across the state at the end of session. And there was a lot of rumors that Democratic leadership was going to trade some policy pieces around LGBTQ rights or expansive protections away to try and get this bonding deal secured. And Melissa Hortman very directly and clearly in a press conference said, I am not going to trade away, progressive progress on LGBTQ rights for a bonding bill. If that's the deal, then there will be no bonding bill. And I think, in a moment where we see a lot of, questions around how Democratic leaders and leaders across the country are standing up for diverse communities, it was a really important moment of clarity to say, what are the values of our leaders here in Minnesota and what are they willing to put on the line in these conversations? I think, that one really spoke to me just in terms of the ways in which it wasn't just like performative or convenient allyship for Melissa Hortman and others to stand up for our communities, but it was really ingrained in their values. I think the other moment that really comes to mind for me around this was the night that we were moving the trans refuge bill through the Minnesota House. For folks who are not familiar, this bill helps to protect both providers of gender affirming care here in the state of Minnesota, but also patients who are coming to seek care here in Minnesota. We had gone through I think it was about 5.5 hour long hearing on a couple of bills leading up to this trans refuge bill. And it was about 11:30 p.m. at night. We had already been going all afternoon on a number of different bills. This bill had not come up yet. And it was clear that there were some folks in the chamber who were trying to basically filibuster this bill to another day. And, obviously the strategy was like, if we can push this off long enough, maybe it won't move forward. And I remember having a lot of conversations with some of our allies, members of the Queer Caucus and community, who were all present in the building in the Capitol. And it's, almost midnight. There is like a deadline at midnight for the House to either adjourn or extend their hours. And we all had that conversation and pushed on the speaker, who was the one who ultimately gets to, sort of make that call, to keep going, to say, like, y'all have had this fight, but we need you to just press on and hold this space for us. And she did. And we ran until 5:30 a.m. That bill just went on and on and on and on. But 5:30, that bill passed off of the House floor. And I remember stepping out into the rotunda with, a handful of folks who were still around. The sun's like starting to rise just on the horizon, and just that feeling of commitment to moving the work forward. And I think that attitude, I know Melissa Hortman brought in, the sort of oft quoted phrase now of LFG to the start of the 23-24 session. But that was a real marker to me of what that phrase meant in practice, that it wasn't just that we're going to advance things conveniently, we're going to move them forward.
Well, I hear music, so we're going to take a break. I'm sorry, Kat. Will you stay with us for another segment or two?
Sure.
Okay. My name's Philip Anthony. This is the Gailey Show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Food, music, family. Discover the Slavic experience. Saturday, August 2nd and Sunday, August 3rd at The Rock in St. Louis Park. Polish music from Polka King, Ukrainian band Yev, gypsy music, a donut eating contest, fashion show. Whether you're a Slavic immigrant, have roots in one of the 14 Slavic nations, or simply want to experience Slavic culture, don't miss Slavic Experience, August 2nd and 3rd at The Rock in St. Louis Park. For more information, SlavicExperience.com.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Call me now at 651-303-8889 so we can strategize together.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Welcome back to The Gailey Show. My name is Philip Anthony. I am subbing for the fantabulous John Parker. And I'm here with Kat Rohn, the executive director of Outfront Minnesota. And we were just discussing some amazing work that Outfront has done. And also, we were trying to memorialize and remember our wonderful speaker, Melissa Hortman. So, did you want to continue? Were you continuing about Melissa, or did you want to talk a little bit about Senator Hoffman's recovery? I heard he's out of the hospital now. Is that true, Kat?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. He's out of the hospital and recovering. Obviously, both John and Yvette, his wife, sustained some really serious and awful injuries as a result of those attacks, and glad that they're on the recovery path. But I know that both for them and for many of our other lawmakers, this is a long road of figuring out how you continue to be a public servant in a climate where there is real violence and rhetoric directed at elected officials who are wanting to serve their communities.
Yeah. We continue to pray for their families all the time. So now let's go to the future a little bit, Kat. What are some of the ongoing legal battles that you see coming up on the horizon that we should be concerned about as LGBT folks, and maybe address a couple of them? I know a couple I'm hearing about. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're in a moment where we are seeing, especially at a federal level, a real rollback of LGBTQ protections, both from the White House, but also in terms of attacks on community rights and protections that have gone through the Supreme Court and elsewhere. We've seen that, just even at the end of this last Supreme Court term, and I know we have some more legal challenges coming up. A lot of these are focused around the rights and protections around transgender people, but also we've seen some pushes against, things like HIV and AIDS preventative services. We've seen pushes against gay marriage, and we've seen efforts to really roll back the inclusion of LGBTQ families and stories in schools, in other public places. And I think, the short version of this is we are in a moment of backlash against hard-won community victories that have happened over many decades. And we're in this moment where a lot of the legal standing for those feels really tenuous. But I think, in a lot of ways, I'm still really optimistic about our current moment. And I know that maybe feels weird in the midst of all of the challenges that we're seeing. But I think what we have done as communities over the years is figured out how to come together, to continue to advocate for ourselves, even during, like, for instance, the Reagan administration, when we had an actively indifferent and hostile federal climate towards HIV/AIDS policy, and figure out how to start moving the needle, not just on that policy landscape, but how our communities care for one another through those moments of challenge. And I think we're seeing the seeds of that right now, even if it is a difficult moment.
Yeah. Well, my next guest and I are going to be talking about, she's with the Dallas Voice, which is an LGBT newspaper. And we're going to be talking about bathroom bills that they're throwing in. She told me this before we started the show, and I was like, what? I mean, really? I mean, did you hear about this? They want to get bathroom bills back in the picture because, any way you can, other people, though the other side of the aisle is right on board with that for some reason. Did you hear any other stories about that?
Yeah, I did. I was actually chatting with some of my partner organizations from Texas actually over this last week when we were together at some gatherings. And yeah, I mean, what we're seeing across the country is nothing new. It's the same sort of fear mongering that we've seen for many decades. I mean, all of this rhetoric looks almost identical to what we heard out of Anita Bryant and the folks who were trying to push back against greater gay inclusion in the 1970s.
You remember Anita Bryant, Kat?
I do. You got to know your LGBTQ history. And, I think
there.
We're just seeing this loop of the same rhetoric. They just choose slightly different targets every time. But it's the exact same language, the exact same attacks, the exact same fear mongering. And I think, what's different now is that, one, our communities are deeper in terms of their leadership. We have a more diverse representation of how communities are standing up for one another. And I think, as much as we're in a moment of pushback, like when you look at the younger generations, when you look at folks across the country, more people know us than they ever did. In the 1970s, that was still a tenuous proposition. Now, most people know somebody from the LGBTQ community, and a lot of people even know trans folks. And I think that changes their relationship to policy conversations. Not perfectly, not immediately, but I've seen that work. And even in places like Florida, where they had passed a bathroom bill that restricts folks from using public bathroom facilities, I was just chatting with one of my colleagues who's doing some really creative work to get private developers to put in more bathroom spaces in new construction that are accessible to the public. And I think we're going to figure out ways to navigate through this, even if it's challenging in the near term.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, going back to Anita Bryant, that was, you brought me back, that was, the image, and I'm sure you have the same image of Anita Bryant at a news conference, and this man walks up to her with a pie. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, to me, as a gay man back in the 70s, looking at that and going, yes, because, it's not nice to throw a pie at somebody, but when you're spewing hatred, I mean, it's kind of, comeuppance, I guess is the term, right, Kat?
Right. We can say a lot of things about it. I deeply enjoy the radical activism that has infused our community spirit since the Stonewall Uprising, through ACT UP, through moments like that, which, of note, that pie was thrown by a St. Paul, Minnesota activist, Tom Higgins. So we've got a Minnesota connection there. And, love to see the ways that our community has found ways to draw attention to the issues, to our communities, in ways that are sometimes provocative, but ultimately not going to cause any lasting harm. It's about trying to bring conversation and bring humanity and bring some humor into the space of activism at really poignant and difficult moments.
Yeah. Well, there was something that I wanted to bring up in entertainment news. Ellen DeGeneres moved to the United Kingdom, right? Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland because they didn't want to deal with Trump and the fact that they're in the LGBT community and they didn't want to put up with that anymore. I have a different view about that. I think we should stay and fight. What say you? I mean, leaving is not the answer, Kat. I mean, that kind of bothered me that they did that.
Yeah, I mean, people of privilege are going to be able to move around wherever they need to avoid whatever current policy climates. But ultimately, it's those of us who stay and do the work, whether it's in Minnesota, in states like Texas, in Florida, wherever, who are going to write that next chapter. You can't do that if you're living in another country. And tomorrow, there is going to be a gay kid who is born in the state of Florida, and they need our voices and our advocacy right now. And I believe firmly that for an individual, there might be a good reason to say, I need to get out of here because I'm at risk for whatever reason. I'm not going to judge those particular values. But for all of us, I think it's important to think about, like, if we are just afraid of an abstract rather than a direct threat on our physical lives, on our ability to access care, we should think before we just decide that moving is the easiest option.
Kat, we have to go. I'm so sorry, but time flies. Thank you so much, Kat, for coming on the show today. I'll see you soon. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, July 22nd, it's Colby Straka. Wednesday, July 23rd, it's Tyler Herwig, and more great live music for you on Thursday, July 24th. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended, and the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, outdoor live music is back at the Park Tavern.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at Schroman.
Hi there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm Philip Anthony. I just want to let you know, it's not that I'm not looking at you. We had a technical issue today. Normally, I look straight ahead and my computer camera works. Unfortunately, it didn't work today. And I've been doing this show for 3 years, and all of a sudden it just decided not to work. So I have to figure out what's going on. But in the interim, I'm looking down, but I'm really looking at you. So
okay, I believe you. I have 2 or 3 screens. I look all over.
Just so you know, because I'm not rude that way. But my name's Philip. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you, Philip.
It's very nice to meet you. I heard a lot of nice things about you. You're very knowledgeable about LGBT issues, and I'm going to talk about the things you've mentioned in the email and some of the things I brought. I through my legwork, I've discovered. So we'll touch upon those things as well. We're supposed to be coming back from the commercial.
Yeah, 55 seconds, so we need to wrap up quick.
In 55 seconds. Okay, so let's just do it. Let's have a great show. Okay, Tammy?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Quarterback or fake university saving you money. There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance. But what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 90. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 76. And Wednesday, another chance for thunderstorms with a high near 91. If you're craving delicious Chinese food, head to the Great Wall Restaurant for handmade dumplings, sesame chicken, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Located at 4515 France Avenue South. Learn more at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. My name's Philip Anthony. I'm subbing for the fantabulous John Parker. And again, I am the host of the Downright Upright Show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, every Saturday, 5 o'clock. I hope you tune in. You can stream the show. You can listen on the radio. We just have a lot of fun, and we try to prop up the LGBTQ community because there's not a lot of propping up happening right now, right? And my next guest and I are going to address some of those things. And I will also want to welcome back WCPT 820 Chicago Heartland Signal as well, and also AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. So my next guest is Tammy Nash, and she is a regular on The Gailey Show. Tammy is the managing editor of The Dallas Voice. The Dallas Voice is the premier source of news for the LGBTQ folks in Texas. Welcome to the Gailey Show. I was going to say my own show. I'm getting confused. Welcome to the Gailey Show, Tammy.
Hi, how are y'all doing today?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great.
Good.
We had a little technical issues before we started the show, but we got everything squared away. I'm just so happy I could see you and you could see me. So that's all that matters today. So since you and I have never met, would you remind the listeners a little bit about you and your publication?
Okay, well, like I said, my name's Tammy. I'm the managing editor, Dallas Voice. We are in our 42nd year. Yeah, well, first year. The paper was founded in 1984, so we've been around a bit. I first started working for the paper in 1988, so I've been around a bit. I hadn't worked here consistently through the whole time, but more than 30 years with Dallas Voice overall.
Wow.
So we focus primarily, that's a long time, yes. We focus primarily on North Texas, but we cover the whole state and the area and the country and whatever we need to talk about, we talk about.
Okay. So. Well, I have a question here. Now, forgive me ahead of time because it's a bit lengthy, and because I did my homework for this show, because I want to learn about Texas politics a little bit as well, and I know what's going on down there is you got a little bit of a hot mess, if you want to use that expression. So bear with me here. U.S. Representative Vicente Gonzalez, a Texas Democrat, he won his last congressional election by just over 5,000 votes, which makes him a tempting target for Republicans who are poised to redraw the state's congressional maps and devise 5 new winnable seats for the GOP that would help the party avoid losing control in 2026 by adjusting the lines of Gonzalez's district to bring in a few thousand more Republican voters, while shifting some of the Democratic ones out, and this could flip that seat. So Texas has 38 seats in the House, right? And 25 are held by Republicans, right? And 12 by Democrats, and 1 seat vacant after Democrat Sylvester Turner, a former Houston mayor, died in March. May he rest in peace. Trump is pushing against the usually inevitable loss of the ruling party's control of Congress by urging Texas Republicans to redraw their congressional maps. Trump is also very worried about his sinking poll numbers, especially because of Epstein Gate, and what's going on with that. And according to Representative Richie Torres of New York, quote, if the Republicans are going to redistrict in the middle of the decade, then we have no choice but to do the same, because to do otherwise would be unilateral disarmament. That's what Richie Torres said. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom from California is heading in that direction as well, and saying he's weighing a couple of options for how his state can redraw its lines to counter the Texas GOP. And there's speculation that Democratic leaders in several other blue states, including Minnesota, Illinois, and New York, are assessing whether to follow suit. So what do you think should be done? Do you think that the other states should play the game, or should we, as what did Michelle Obama say? When they go low, we go high. What say
anymore.
You?
Not anymore.
I agree.
Staying above the fray and going high, that's very noble, and it's something we should all aspire to, I think. I mean, not being jerks, but sometimes you gotta, sometimes the stakes are just too high, and you got to get down in the dirt and the mud and wrestle it out, and everybody knows what Greg Abbott's doing with this special section and calling for redistricting. And I was just reading a story in the Texas Tribune, which is a statewide news organization. It's very, very good. I guess some people would probably call them liberal or progressive. I would call them, factual and unbiased. But, Abbott supposedly was against this whole idea of this redistricting plan right up until the moment that Donald Trump called and had a chat with him. And now he's pushing for this redistricting. There's also, you mentioned Sylvester Turner. He was in the Texas state legislature. He was the mayor of Houston, and then he was elected to Congress. I believe last year he was elected, but he was sick and passed away in March. Ordinarily, you would think that there would already have been a special election to fill that seat. However, he was a Democrat, and the Republicans don't want Democrats, want to keep out as many Democrats as they can. So Abbott has not called a special section to fill that seat. And there's talk, I don't have any solid sources, but you mentioned Vicente Gonzalez's seat. There's talk that he's not going to call for a special election until they can get the redistricting done, and that will be a Republican district rather than a Democratic district. That's down in the Houston area, Harris County, and that's south down on the board on the Gulf, and that's normally a very safe blue district. But apparently, nothing's outside the realm of possibilities when you have cheaters drawing the line. So there's that. And
but how do you feel about Governor Gavin Newsom saying
go
that
for it.
If you do this, we're all going to do this, and maybe my governor here in Minnesota, Governor
good
Walz,
for the goose, it's good for the gander. Yeah, go for it.
I'm of the belief, though, Tammy, that we used to be, we followed the rules, and look what it got us.
Exactly.
We're still in the trenches trying to fight for our civil rights. This big beautiful bill, which I call it the big horrible bill, just is destroying the middle class and the working class. I mean, we have to do something a little bit awry. Is that a good word? Awry. I mean, something
aggressive. How about aggressive? How about
yes,
well,
aggressive.
Take a strong stance. We have to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have to stop rolling over and playing dead.
We keep. There's that whole turn the other cheek thing. I've run out of cheeks. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but every cheek I have has been used up, and it's time. I mean, if we gotta fight dirty like them, then let's fight dirty. And I don't see that as fighting dirty. I see that as leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And
Trump
when you're just defending yourself.
Yeah, and Trump is always coming up with these deflections to get people to not think about the Epstein Gate issue. He's talking about the Cleveland, changing the Cleveland Indians name back, back to the Cleveland
Washington.
Indians. Yeah, Washington. Yeah, the Washington Redskins back to that name instead of the Commanders. I mean, all this nonsense.
Oh, and adding pure cane sugar to syrup to Cokes rather than the Coke, whatever.
Yes, I heard.
He called Coca-Cola and talked to him. It's like, get your head out of your butt.
I think. Yeah, I think. You see, you and excuse me, you and I, we got me laughing here. I'm choking myself to death. You and I think on the same page. There's a lot of look over there while he's doing other.
Exactly right. It's there's. It reminds me. I have a lot of friends that performed with a belly dance troupe at a local Renaissance festival up in DFW area, and that was one of their deals. one of the ways that they funded their troupe was to take tips from the audience, and they would do this little deal. They bring people up from the audience and get them to dance and collect tips and all this other stuff. And then on stage, you know, you have this team with their basket full of tips and this team with their basket full of tips. And it'd be like, oh, look over there. What's that? And then, you know, still, and that's what this is, except the belly dancers were much cuter.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
He's something else. Anyway, Tammy. So let's talk about your wonderful Attorney General, Ted Paxton. How about that? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what is the latest regarding Ted Paxton's lawsuit against an adult swimming program after 2 transgender women were allowed to compete at a meet this spring in San Antonio, with one placing first in several events? What is his cause of action against this
apparently
swimming program?
Okay. The U.S. Masters Swimming is a private membership organization.
Yes, it is.
It's not like, you know, publicly funded or anything like that. These are adults. They know what they're doing. I've not heard him mention anybody who's come to him and said, oh, kid, they stole my gold medal. I need you to sue them. You know, I haven't heard anybody complaining about this. I'm pretty sure trans people competing in this organization is not new. We had a story about it, a couple of years ago in our, I don't remember the division or the category, but there were trans people in this team, and it was like, everybody knows this. It's not a big deal. You know, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I don't even really know what brought this to Ken's attention, why he decided to focus on this. It's Trump. He's taking lessons from Trump and look over there.
Look over there.
You know,
that's what it is.
Because I mean, he, you know, every time he gets, so much to talk about. But anyway, I haven't heard anything new other than we heard that he was investigating it, and then last week on Thursday we got the press release that he's suing this organization. And since there's no law in Texas or anywhere that I know of that says a private membership organization can have its own rules in terms of trans people, this is not public schools, you know, or anything like that. There's no public funds or children involved. This is grown-ups. But so there's no law about that, but apparently he's calling it deceptive practices. This lawsuit is all based on the idea of their deceptive practices. They say this is women's competition, but they let these men get in here, and they're not men. They're transgender women. But, you know, you can't tell him that. So,
yeah. Well, you know, again, you were right about the deflection. Because I've noticed when he's in a pickle, I like to use that word, he uses, look over there. And so like the Epstein Gate thing is happening right now, and it's really like on fire. A lot of his supporters are leaving him because he promised when he ran for president that he was going to release the files. And a lot of MAGA is upset because they say, what are you hiding? You know, why don't you release files? So now he's bringing up all this other, because they're now in the verb and transgender, they think, you know, everybody will listen to him, you know. Anyway, we got to take a break. Will you hold on for another segment with me?
Absolutely.
I love you. My name's Philip Anthony. This is the Gailey Show here on AM 950 and WCPT.
One of the things.
For a decade, it's captivated Twin Cities audiences, and now the cultural phenomenon Glen Sheen returns. This captivating musical by Jeffrey Hatcher and Chan Poling features strong performances from a talented 7-member ensemble and Ron Peluso's brilliant direction. It's a limited engagement July 7th through the 25th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Get tickets at historytheater.com. That's History Theater, spelled RE.com.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual sale for the entire month of July. All of their indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at the lowest price of the year.
Did you know that now there's also a 30% federal tax credit when you install an efficient wood heating stove or fireplace? At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we can explain and show you the many options. We have the Twin Cities' widest selection of wood-burning stoves and fireplaces.
I love my wood stove. We enjoy the sense of well-being we get by cutting and splitting wood to warm our home. Wood is our choice, but you may have other choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether transforming an existing fireplace or adding something new, a clean burning wood, gas, or electric fire can have you sitting pretty and cozy by the fire.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces at Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis or at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Welcome back to The Gailey Show. My name is Philip Anthony. I am subbing for the fantabulous John Parker. Again, thank you, John, for giving me this opportunity to speak on your show today and to host your show. Your guests are amazing. I hope Tammy comes on my show. Tammy, you going to come on my show one day? I mean, I have a weekly show, so you only have to come once. Anyway.
Y'all gonna get tired of me now.
No, I am not tired of you. I think you're amazing. I do. I think you're great. So the elephant in the room for me, and this is what I'm hearing from all my, fans and people that write me letters and friends and yada, yada, is the thing that's happening with the Fourth Estate. You and I are in the Fourth Estate, the media, and the firing of Terry Moran from ABC News and the firing of Stephen Colbert from CBS. People are so angry about this. I mean, all because he's got such a thin skin, Trump. It's so thin. It's like a kid in a schoolyard. You make fun of me, so I'm gonna, it is
mom.
Yeah, mommy.
Exactly.
Presidents are not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to allow freedom of speech in the United States of America. And the Fourth Estate especially should be able to report what they want to report as long as it's the truth. And sometimes when it's not, it's still happening. Look at Fox News. I mean,
exactly. They get away with all that crap.
Just asking for a friend here. Anyway, so what say you, Tammy, about this?
I think it's like you said. First of all, Trump has a thin skin. He doesn't, it hurts his little feelings, and he got to run to mommy and get somebody to make the mean people leave him alone. But at the same time, I think it's about protecting themselves, in that these people were telling the truth, or talking about things that they don't want you to know, don't want people thinking about. It's more than just he's making fun of me. It's he's talking about something that makes me look bad. You know, they're talking about Epstein. They're talking about this. They're talking about, you know, and it's more like, look over there wasn't working good enough because everybody was going to watch these guys, right? I mean, who doesn't want to watch Stephen Colbert? So the look over there wasn't working. So it's, well, we're just going to get rid of them. We're just going to, you know, and what pisses me off about all of that is the whole idea that the higher ups are letting this happen. Trump didn't come in and fire Stephen Colbert or Terry Moran. He went over there and twisted somebody's arm and said, I've got, you know, I've got this compromise on you or whatever. I'm going to file a lawsuit, whatever it is. And these people are cowards. They're just cowards. And they're letting it happen. You know, and the folks like you and me that were down here in the trenches, Stephen Colbert, Terry Moran, those folks, pardon me, Rachel Maddow, folks like that are speaking up and speaking out, that they are totally courageous and brave and trying to do the best they can. Whether you agree with them or not, it's important that they're allowed to speak, because if you can shut them up, who's next?
Yeah.
You know? And,
exactly. And he's strong-arming
exactly.
You know, CBS and ABC, because right now, apparently, there's supposed to be a merger happening in CBS with another company, and he will not permit the merger unless they fire. He told them, he says, if you don't fire Stephen Colbert, we are not going to let the merger go through. Imagine this. This is very fascist to me. I don't know. Sorry to say the word, the F word.
No. I agree completely. I don't remember where it was I saw it, but there was a list of nicknames. Oh, it was somebody's TikTok or Facebook reel or what. They were talking about, you know, I'm so embarrassed. And I don't know what, the orange, whatever. And said, what a childish thing to say. What a childish thing. And there's so many much better ones. And then it has all of these names on the screen. And one of them made me think, what you're talking about, strong arming and using this, you know, Godfather's tactics. It's like one of the names was Don Corleone. And I'm like, how perfect is that? Nostra dumbass and Don Corleone. I mean, you know, you've got this guy who sees himself as some sort of big, you know, he thinks he's Don Corleone, but he's really Jabba the Hutt. You know, I'm just waiting on Luke to come kick him in the pit with that, whatever that critter is.
Yeah, those cankles. Somebody's got to do something about those cankles. You know, stop eating salt or something. I don't know, too many Big Macs, I think, and Diet Coke.
Pardon my language here, but the shit's got to settle somewhere. You know, it just seeps right down into his ankles.
Yeah, but you're not going. You know, like you're not doing Michelle Obama, Tam. You're not going.
I am not. Bless her heart. I have so much admiration and respect for Miss Obama, but
I love her. Yeah.
Oh, she's fabulous. She is absolutely fabulous. But yeah,
maybe you know, but Tammy, maybe in her time when President Obama was president, that would have flown. That would have worked. But now we've gone so far afield here. You know,
I believe Miss Obama has herself said, you know, it's time to take off the velvet gloves. But I mean, when she said that was at a time when her husband was in the office, and they were attacking her and her children and all of these things, and she wasn't going to get in the mud with them over that. You know, all the names that they called her and, you know, insults to her or to her husband. And it's like, what good is it going to do to get into a childish, I know you are, but what am I kind of argument with these ill-tempered toddlers? So that was going high, and absolutely, that was the best thing that she could have done. We're beyond that now. This is, you said, you know, you said something earlier about fighting for equal rights. There are people who are just fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
Not even equal rights. This is just the bare minimum of being alive.
Yeah, well, you know what? I want to thank you, Tammy. It was so great meeting you. I'm going to keep in touch with you. We have each other's emails.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to The Gailey Show today. Stay tuned for Chicago WCPT 820 for Chew's Views with Richard Chew, and on AM 950 for the Matt McNeil Show. My name is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show on AM 950. I love you. I'm going to kiss you, hug you. Bye.
Cafe Latte offers made